over the last 5 years, I have owned well over 20 lasers. And the one question that I get asked quite frequently on an everyday basis is, what laser machine do I suggest for someone to buy that is just getting into laser owning? And I have to say, the one laser that I am going to show you today is every single time I suggest it, they go, oh, that thing? But I have to tell you, the xTool F2 is, in my opinion, the best starter laser for any crafter that is looking to just get into laser crafting. You're not entirely sure what you're gonna make, but you just want to get your feet wet in the craft. This right here, I think, is the best all-in-one cute little machine that does so much that you are gonna be mind blown, and then you're gonna be hooked. And then maybe you're gonna be like me and in 5 years own well over 20 lasers. So today what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do a little tour with you about the things that you can engrave with this machine. No, I am not going to do all the things that you can engrave with this machine. However, it is going to be pretty jaw-dropping on the things that I create. Just a little sneak peek of some of the stuff that I'm going to do. Cutting boards, this massive cutting board, we got leather, we even have glass, and there's so many more things on this table that I cannot wait to show you how I created it with this small little thing. So at the end of the day, what I want you to know is that while this thing may be small, but she sure is mighty. So let's go. To start off strong, our first project is going to be the cutting board. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna head over into the xTool Studio and you are gonna press New Project. Now I would love for your xTool F2 to already be turned on, because then what's gonna happen is we're gonna come over here, we're gonna press Connect, and we are gonna connect to the F2, and it will show you that it's automatically connected because it's all connected via Bluetooth or Wi-Fi or whatever it is. So I am not gonna do any type of firmware on my F2, but what I am going to do is I am going to take the plastic sheet or coating or whatever this is, this stuff, and I'm gonna take this off, okay? Now what I'm gonna do is over here at the xTool F2 is I am going to just insert this into the xTool F2. Now you will see that there is 2 dots on here and they are not overlapping. What we want to do now is we want to come over here and we want to click on this auto measure tool. It's just this like cute little roller. So we're just gonna click on that. What's gonna happen is the machine is automatically going to adjust to make sure that the 2 dots overlap, meaning that we are completely focused. The reason why we want to focus things with our laser is it is going to give you really good engravings, that they are not gonna look like they're blurry or fuzzy. They're gonna be nice and crisp. Now, if you're cutting, the reason why you would want to do a focus is because this is going to help your cuts be nice and clean, not overchar it or not undercut it, so where it's not, you want it to cut all the way through, okay? So it's always important that we auto measure. Now what we're gonna do is we are going to go into your downloads folder, and then for the cutting board, what we're gonna do is we are gonna use the grilling SVG file bundle. Now, all of the files that I'm going to use for today's projects are all available within my cardstock shop Celebration Warehouse. We are gonna be using SVG files for everything. Now, for everything that I have created, there is going to be multiple different options and then a blank option. So I have created a bunch of different options, you can see that. And if there's one that isn't available for you that you're looking for, you can definitely insert the blank one and just make your own text box with the name that you're looking for. So I am going to use the dad one and I'm gonna drag and drop it into the xTool Studio. All right, that is how easy it is to use the xTool Studio. Drag and drop. You really don't need to have any type of design skills in order to use the software and also their machines. So at this point, what we want to do is we want to come up here and we want to choose our material. So I'm going to do the unknown material, or for right now, it's called unknown material. And then I'm going to come over here into wood, and I'm going to do the edible oil coated acacia wood. And then I'm going to press apply. What happens now is that the machine will already give you settings. So if you're new to the laser world and you have no idea what settings to choose, the machine and the software already have predetermined and established settings that make it super easy to use for everyone. So I have this at the max size of the engravings that we can do for the F2. So what I would love to do is come over here and press the framing button, and you can see here on my machine whereabouts this is going to engrave. Now I want my engravings to go right about here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna drag my cutting board all the way over to where I want my engravings to go. Now you can see that my cutting board is kind of wobbly now. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use some poster putty, and I'm just going to press this down. And so now it doesn't wanna wobble. Awesome. I'm gonna line up my engravings to about where I want it to go, or not about, where I want it to go. So it's gonna look just like that. And if you wanted to get a detailed look as to how the engraving is going to look, what you can do is come over here into these 3 dots, and you could do outline and then press framing again. So instead of it being a rectangle, now what it's doing is it's kind of giving you exactly what the actual image is, and it's and how it's going to engrave. Now, I want my engraving technically to be upside down, because this right here for me is the bottom of the engraving. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and I'm going to turn this upside down. And now when you do that, you're going to be able to see that the engraving itself also looks upside down, which is perfect. Okay. So I'm going to stop framing, and I'm just going to put this back to a rectangle just to make sure that it's nice and straight. All right, looking good. Okay, so I'm going to press stop framing now. All right, now at this point in time, design process is finished. We don't have to do anything more. What I am going to do though is I am going to shut the lid just a little bit, because you are going to need to vent out of some sort of venting system, whether that be a window, whether that be an air filter. I'm going to be using an air filter for today's project because it's in the summertime here in the South, and it is humid, and I definitely do not want to open up my window. So I'm going to be using my air filter for today's project. Wood definitely gets a little bit more smokier than the other things that we have here on the table that we are going to do. But just so you know, I'm going to shut this just a little bit so the smoke really does capture into the vent that you can see right here, goes into my air filter, and then it just makes sure that my environment doesn't get all smoky and gross. Okay, so we are going to press process. This engraving is going to take 2 minutes and 41 seconds. That is wonderful. It's so quick. So we are going to press start, and then at your air filter, if you're using it, I want you to turn that puppy on. It's going to get a little loud in here. And then at the side of the machine at the very top, you'll see this button right here. You're going to want to press that. Then the machine is going to start engraving right away. Now, the great thing about the xTool Studio and also the machines is that while this is engraving, we can set up other things that we're going to do for today's project, okay? So what we're gonna do is we are gonna go and press minimize up here at the top. I'm just gonna open up a new window in xTool Studio. Since our device is working, it will say that your device is busy, and then right here it says busy. That's okay. We are going to find the download for this file, which is going to be the Best Dad Ever SVG bundle. And then just open that up. We're going to do the SVG. You can do PNG, PDF, EPS, DXF for all different machineries, but I love using SVGs for engraving. You're going to find the SVG file that you want to use. Drag and drop it into the xTool Studio, press scale to fit. The reason why you want it to scale to fit is because the F2 can only engrave so big, and the SVG files are created super large. So it just skips a step. Really skips a step. We have really cute engravable leather wallets. So what I'm going to do is come over here to unknown material, click on that. We're going to go to leather. We have deep brown PU leather. That's what these are. We are going to press apply. You can see that it already gives me settings, which is amazing. So essentially we are ready to go. So while this machine is still engraving and doing its thing, we already are ready for our next engraving, making the process go super quick. All right, now that that is done engraving, we can open this up and take this off and look at how well this engraved. My goodness, 2 minutes and 41 seconds, and this turned out absolutely amazing. Such a quick and easy gift for any father, or really, I mean, the world is your oyster. I am actually the griller in my house. So this should say everything tastes better when Ashlee grills it. You know what I mean? My gosh. And although the cutting board is super large, you don't need a super large laser in order to get really cool engraved things, right? 2 minutes and 41 seconds, you can't beat that. So we are now ready for our leather wallet. All right, so when it comes to the wallet, there's one thing that you have to be aware of and mindful of. Do you see how this can have some give to it? If we set it down here, see how it doesn't lay very flat? So getting yourself some poster putty. I've already used it once. I'm going to use it again. And I am going to set this flat. Try and set this as flat as possible, okay? So I'm just going to put this just like that. I'm going to use a little bit more poster putty to put these two sides together, okay? Because the flatter you get your item and the more even you get your item, the better you want to make sure that both your dots are hovering over the material that you're going to engrave with, okay? We are going to come over here and press the auto measure tool. All right, now it's perfectly measured. So what we're going to do now is we are going to make this smaller. Obviously, we don't want to make this too big, okay? And I want this to go in the bottom corner right here. But let's do the framing button and see what that looks like. So you can see that it is going to be a little bit small. I think that's going to be a little small. So let's make this bigger till we get about the size that we want. Okay, I think that this is going to be cute. I am just going to even this out a little bit, making sure that everything is straight, which I think it is. Okay, I love the look of this. So what we're gonna do is we are going to shut the lid just a little bit. That will just help the smoke get sucked through our vent and not going out everywhere else. I'm obviously not gonna be able to shut it all the way because we got a little hill here, okay? But we are ready to go. We already set up the settings. So now all we're gonna do is we are gonna press process. This is going to take 35 seconds, 2 minutes, less than 3 minutes for the cutting board, 35 seconds for a wallet. We are gonna press start. We are gonna turn on your air vent and then press the button on the side of the machine. Try not to look at your laser when it's cutting, especially if it's not closed all the way. All right, let me turn off my air filter just so you can hear me, but 35 seconds later, actually 34 seconds later, we are done. And here is the finished engraving. Whoop. There you have it, and it's cute, absolutely cute. There's no cleanup necessary. We have no charring. The settings were absolutely perfect. This right here, I think any papa, any dad, anyone would love this gift. And again, all with just this one small little but mighty machine. So we are gonna press finish. We are going to open up a new tab. You don't have to do that if you don't want to, but I'm just going to do it because that's what I like to do. What we're gonna do now is we are gonna do a set of coasters. So it's gonna have the same, pretty much the same settings as the cutting board. However, I'm gonna have to do these in multiple different passes. So it's gonna be slightly different than the cutting board, okay? So I'm gonna take this, I'm gonna move this down here, and what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna use this little L bar. This is for aligning. This helps align things, making sure that everything is nice and straight. So I'm gonna put this inside my machine and I'm gonna put in one coaster. I'm gonna turn these upside down, okay? So same thing as before with the cutting board. Our engraving needs to look upside down on the software, okay? But first things first, what we have to do is we have to do an auto measure because the two dots are not overlapping. I am now gonna take my engraving and I'm gonna flip it upside down. Then I'm gonna drag this over here and I'm gonna press the framing button and I'm gonna make sure that it looks like how I want the engraving to look. So we can resize it and you can see in real time things are getting resized. All right, now that I have the engraving where I want it to be, I did bust out a fabric measuring tape just to make sure that it's nice and center on this coaster, okay? This engraving is gonna be the same engraving on every single one of the coasters. I know that I only have one in here, but watch how quick and easy it is when we go to switch this out, okay? So I'm gonna press stop framing. Now what I'm gonna do is I am going to select my engrave or my image that I'm going to engrave, and I am going to add in the engrave settings that I want for these coasters. At this point in time, all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna press process. I'm gonna shut this just a little bit, and then I am going to turn on my fan. This is going to take 47 seconds to engrave, and then I'm gonna press the button at the side of the machine. Now this is done engraving, so I'm gonna open this up just to show you this is what it looks like. Absolutely amazing. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to put this back into my machine and I'm going to make sure and put it exactly where my other coaster was. Then what I'm gonna do is I am going to double click the button on the side of the machine. If you click it twice, what will happen is the machine is going to reprocess the same exact engraving that we just did here. The reason why I wanted to utilize that L bracket is so we can put, it's kind of like a jig, but not actually creating a jig. So we can just set this in and it's going to look like this on every single one of the coasters. So I'm gonna take another coaster out and get ready to have this one after this is done. We're just gonna switch this out. So I love this feature. The reprocessing over and over and over again is absolutely amazing. I love this feature. Okay, switch this out. Make sure this is nice and centered on there. Double click. And just to give you apples to apples of what it looks like, these right here are our first two coasters. And they look identical. So having that L bracket in place definitely helps with the alignment, and then you don't have to figure out how to do it over and over and over again. You can see I have a whole stack of coasters, 12 of them, because they're all going on my coffee table, and then I wanted them to match for my dining table because it's all open. And so now I have matching. I have 12 coasters that I am done with less than 12 minutes. Absolutely amazing. Okay, so I'm gonna set these over to the side. So at the xTool F2, we are gonna open this up. Take this off, we don't need this. I'm gonna put this in here, and we kind of actually, maybe I'll put this back just to make sure that it's nice and straight, but I'm gonna do straight in the corner. Okay, I'm gonna put this right here. Now it's wobbly, right? You see how it's wobbly? So I'm gonna add in your poster putty. Put this on the bottom. All right, now see how it doesn't wanna move on you? That's perfect, okay? I think that this is going to look amazing, okay? So we already have the settings set, so I'm just gonna press process. The handprints are gonna take a whopping 5 seconds to engrave. So we're going to add in the air filter, pressing start on the software. pressing the side button on the machine, and this is going to engrave for 5 seconds. Holy cow, that was quick. And the engraving turned white. Okay, so we are gonna turn this around, doing it like this. We do not have to do another aimed measure because it's the same thing that we just engraved, right? All right, we got this looking good. Our handprints are off of the engraving site, okay? I like where this is positioned on the machine. So we are gonna press process, 5 seconds for the handprints, and 12 seconds for the small little engraving at the bottom of the picture frame. So we're talking about 17 seconds for all of this. We're gonna press start, press the side of the button. And my friends, this is what the finished engravings look like for both of this. Didn't this turn out absolutely amazing? 17 seconds to engrave this. All you have to do is pop out this, put it in a picture, and you have the most perfect finished engraved picture frame in 17 seconds. We are going to move on to the whiskey stones. So we're gonna press finish here. Now for this one, I'm gonna open up a new tab, and I do not have an SVG file for this, okay? We are going to insert a text box. So we're gonna come over here to a text, and I'm gonna put MF for my husband, okay? Then we are going to find a font that you want to use. I'm gonna use this Opaline font, so beautiful. This is an MGL font. We are gonna come over here into material. We are going to come down here to stone. And this one, I am going to do whiskey soapstones. I already got settings, perfect. We're gonna press apply. This one right here is actually gonna be using infrared light as opposed to everything else that we have done today, which we are gonna be doing infrared for this. So get ready for that. But everything else that we've done, we have done the diode laser, the infrared laser, which is great. This necklace that I always wear, every single time I use the infrared laser, I always mention it because I think it's just so cool. This right here is 100% white gold, 14 karat white gold. It engraved, I engraved it like 3 years ago. I have never gotten it cleaned or anything like that, and you can still see the engravings to this day. It engraved gold. It's gonna do this stone magnificently, okay? The coolest part is we already have predetermined settings. Just like everything else that we have done, we already have settings. So what we're gonna do now is we are gonna press process. This right here is going to take 15 minutes. So yes, the engraving time is a little bit longer for this one as opposed to everything else that we have engraved today. But I think that this is going to just knock your socks off anyways, okay? So we are gonna press start on the machine or on the software. We are going to just close the lid because I want to make sure that it all captures inside of my filter. Turn my filter on. We are gonna press the side of the machine and let this machine do the engraving. Since we're waiting for the whiskey stones to get done engraving, what we need to do now, or at least what I need to do now, is I need to add in some black tempera paint. I don't really know how to pronounce it, but it's this stuff right here. I got it at Walmart for like $1.25 or something like that. But you are gonna need to paint this onto your glass of your choice. Once your glass is fully coated, what you want to do is just wait for it to dry. So that's why I'm like, oh, since we're waiting, we got 7 more minutes left. Why don't we just let this dry? The next thing that we are going to do is this right here, which I'm most excited to show you because how in the world are we going to engrave this with such a small machine? Almost 15 minutes later, and we have all of our stones are completed, and look at the engraving. And I don't know if you're going to be able to tell, but every single one of these engravings are actually engraved into the stone. So if you rubbed your finger on them, you can actually feel the engraving. Oh, that one's like the best one because it's super dark, but you can see the contrast of the engraving. Looks really good. Here, can we focus on this right here? That looks good. I love that. Oh my goodness. So we have all of these whiskey stones 14, almost 15 minutes later, looking so good. I love all of these engravings. They look amazing. Woohoo! And just so you can see the full spectrum of what we're about ready to do, this is wild, okay? I don't think that anyone has ever tried this. This is gonna be crazy, okay? But before we do anything more, what we're gonna do is we are going to set up our processing. I'm gonna intentionally put it off to the side, just so if it's not in the center, we're still fine. You know what I mean? All right, now what you have to do is you have to hold this into place. This is not easy. By any means. I would not say that this is an easy project, but it's definitely going to look really cool when we're done. So what you're going to do now is you're going to press process, making sure that it's still lined up. It's going to take 58 seconds. We're going to press start, then we're going to press engrave. Do you know what I just did? I just engraved this upside down. Oh my gosh. Look at that. It's freaking upside down. I got so excited. Jam it. I engraved it upside down. I only got one of these. Well, the engraving looks fire. It's upside down, but you get the picture. Do we have something cool at the end of it? Absolutely not, because I got so excited to do that project. Moving this off. And I'm gonna go put this under the hair blow dryer so we can engrave this one. Okay, so your glass paint definitely needs to be dried all the way. I am not going to be using the rotary attachment tool. You could use the rotary attachment tool if you wanted, but I'm not going to do that. I am just going to use my cup cradle. The one thing that you do have to be mindful of is that your cup needs to be nice and flat. You could use a small little level, and you are going to make sure that this is nice and level. This is going to take a total of 2 minutes and 29 seconds. Then what we're going to do is we're going to press start. We are going to press play on the side of the machine and let this do its engravings. When your machine is done engraving, it's going to look something like this. Not that amazing. What you have to do now is you have to go and wash off this black paint. After you get done washing the glass, this is what the end results look like. And I have to say, the end results of this is absolutely phenomenal. So at the end of the day, we have created a lot of really cool projects. Just to recap for you, we got a engraved picture frame, a leather wallet engraved, a spectacular cutting board, a bunch of coasters that we mass produced the same engraving on. We have some whiskey stones, unfortunately, an upside down engraved toolbox. And then last but not least, is going to be the glass. And I have to say that the list goes on and on about the things that you can do with this machine. I did not do all the things, but what I've done here is definitely given everyone a really big eye-opening as to what you can do with this small little thing. So at the end of the day, what I want you to remember is while this thing may look small, but she sure is mighty, and I really like her. So you gotta let me know in the comments of this video, did I convince you to get one of these cute little things, or are you still on the fence about what laser you're gonna get next? I'll see you on the next one, my friends.